This is Andy. Welcome to my desktop. It's going to be a little bit different today. Scott is tied up and could not make it. So you guys will get to miss all the polling that we do during our webinar, but because it's me, Steve, and Jamie in here, and we're fumbling around with the tools, but that's okay. We're still going to have a productive session here. A productive webinar with some pretty good stuff to present to you. But before we do, Jamie, hello, how you doing?
Andy, I'm well. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Kind of a bloodbath today, huh?
You know what? That's a pretty good term to use for what happened in the market today. Yeah.
Yeah,
Very unexpected. Very unexpected.
yeah. And Holly, not one alert from Holly today, which is not surprising since she came to the party with all longs. But we're going to show you how you can garner information from Holly not doing anything, and maybe be wise to pull things back, slow things down a little bit when you see an artificial intelligence that's been beating the market for basically 17, 18 months now, handily, and you see her not making one trade, or I should say she does not trade, but calling out an alert. But anyway, before we dive into all that, guys, once again, we're not going to be doing the polls today, so we're going to jump straight into the disclaimer. We just want everybody to know that this is for educational purposes only. We are going to have fun. We're going to show you a great software that is very intuitive, that you can use to really increase your profits in the marketplace. I know, because I did it for not with the product, maybe 13, 12, 14 years, but and I know how I felt when I did not have it. It was only a few times it's gone down over that span, but boy, I was really naked without it. But that being said, okay, once again, this is not investment advice. Okay, this is if that's what you're seeking, you need to look for a stockbroker, somebody who is licensed like an RIA or a registered broker. But moving on, let's talk a little bit more about the product, and let's talk about the back-end support, education, and training that you get here. I like to call it 5-star because there's no doubt in my mind it's second to none. We don't just give you this powerful software and say, here you go see if you can make money with it. We help you in so many ways. It all starts in the trader's room with Barry Arneson. He is incredible at showing his desktop while he navigates the market and uses our software to do it. You get to watch this in real time as he calls out his trades. There's about 500 traders in there. It's a great place to hang out and learn not only the product, but also how successful traders negotiate the market. We do have 4 webinars a week, all in the same time slot. That's 5 o'clock Eastern time. Usually a combination of myself, Jamie, and Steve, but we do throw a treat for you on Wednesdays when we're not doing a special webinar with one of our partners. You'll get Dan Merkin and Brad Williams. I'm sure several of you have seen those guys present, and they will open it up for Q&A and spend a lot of time answering your questions. Friday support session. This is something we've been doing for a few months now, and it's very good. And we're helping a lot of people who just now have gotten the product, and they're really not sure how to use it. They may not know how to set up certain filters, alerts. Hey, we spent 3 hours in there for you to come in and ask questions, and we show you, we demonstrate it for you in the same desktop webinar as you're seeing right now. So we can talk to you verbally out loud and demonstrate it for you. It's a great place, and this is just not for subscribers. This is anybody who wants to learn more about the product. Maybe you're kicking the tires, you've been to a few webinars. Come in this Friday support session from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern time every Friday. See you in there tomorrow. A great place to come learn more about the product.
Hey, Andy.
Sure. Am I cutting out?
No, real quick before we move on, I'm just not used to seeing a completely blank questions panel. So if anybody out there could just pop us a question and let us know that you're hearing us and we're coming through okay, and then we know that the question panel is functioning like it's supposed to.
That's a good idea. Yes. I'm always used
Okay,
to.
all right.
All
There.
right, we do have a few. Yeah, I'm so used to Scott doing.
Yeah.
Thank you
Okay.
guys.
Good deal.
Yeah, sorry
Okay.
about that.
Appreciate it, Andy.
Thanks, Jamie. I'm so used to Scott doing that that I just spaced it. Sorry. Uh, One other thing that contributes to our 5-star support in education here is when you subscribe to Trade Ideas, you get a free one-on-one hour of power training. This is where you can come in with either myself, Jamie, or Steve. We spend an hour with you sharing a desktop, whether it be yours or ours, and we can basically take this wherever you want to. I have people that come in that just kind of struggle, and they want to know from the how to start from the very basics of building an alert. And then I have people that come in that know the product almost as well as I do, and we talk about strategies and trading and what to look for and things like that. So it's free when you subscribe, and that's with any package, standard or premium. So be sure to take advantage of that when you subscribe to Trade Ideas. Another product I'm going to breeze over real quick is a Brokerage Plus. There's several traders here at Trade Ideas who are more advanced. They want to automate their strategies to our Brokerage Plus product that we have with Interactive Brokers. If you want to know more about this, you can just go down to trade-ideas.com/beta, and you'll find more information about this. This is for more advanced traders. If you're just starting out, you might want to learn to crawl before you run, actually sprint. So moving on, let's talk about the agenda today, guys. We're going to talk about the market recap. I'm going to spend a little time there. Some interesting, we've been talking over the past few weeks. I know I mentioned in our Tuesday webinar that I'm starting, definitely feeling signs of distribution, seeing it in the marketplace. And boy, that's even more prevalent after today. So we're going to spend some time on the market recap and what you might expect. Holly recap, not a whole lot to talk about, but we are going to talk about what you can extract from her not doing a thing. So, we'll talk about that. I am going to share with you a new intraday pullback alert. And I'm also going to have a tip on shorting. I know shorting is a different animal, and it's well, I'm not going to save that for the gist of the topic. But moving on to there, Jamie, I think it's time we pull up the old spiders and let's talk about the market recap.
Please do. The two red
Alrighty.
fangs.
Yep. And look at these blank kind of not a whole lot of stuff on the old field. Oh, the bullish alerts today. All right. We normally love to talk about we talk about the market. We like to use the spiders just because it is, and I need to fix this little trend line here, so bear with me. I think if I stretch it out. Get some more data in here. And let's go. I'm grabbing the wrong one there. Let's see what we got here. We have a market that just broke its trend. Now, not by a lot, but still, that is actually what you would define as breaking a trend. You have a long-term trend line with several data points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you got 5 data points. That is a very solid trend. And today we sold off on, once again, 2.84 relative volume. Okay, we're seeing the same thing that's been happening in this market now for several years, where you see the downside volume, people getting nervous, taking profits, whatever. The volume seems like it's always to the downside. When we get these moves right here, it looks like it's on less than 1 relative volume a lot of times. So it creeps up on little volume, but the downdrafts, you can see the bars there associated with decent, selling. So, you don't look at this. There's so many things that make up a bull market technically, okay? And it's not just a trend. There's so much more than trend. You have support, resistance. You still have some nice, levels of support. I'm just going to grab one of these from down here that I probably haven't used in a while and bring it right up to this. We broke that. And now you got a little bit, earlier where you were bouncing off the spiders. This is a level of support we may come and test now. And you can see we also have that gap fill. That gap fill going back to July 11th. So there's a very good chance where you're going to test that gap, tomorrow or the next day or Monday. And then below that, obviously, you have the March high that we took over here. We fell below it, bounced back up, and we have not been below this level since the start of June, or actually May, late May. So we haven't retested this level in a long time. We tried to hit it there, bounce, so we haven't really broken through that. But nonetheless, once again, I do feel like there's some, serious selling, going on at these levels, some distribution. It'll remain to be seen who wins. Of course, always when you have this, buyers, you always have sellers, and the same as goes the other ways. You have sellers as a buyer on the other end. So that's why all we can do is read the footprints in the sand, the chart. So, but nonetheless, we've had some deterioration here in the Qs. Another one, we're seeing 2.32 relative volume. This is an old trend line that we actually broke. I need to find a new trend line, but nonetheless, it's a good chance we're going to go test that low that we hit about a week ago. So, a couple of big red bars now on big volume. Time will tell, but boy, the caution flags are up once again for sure. If you're a long-term trader, diamonds took out the month low there, unlike the Qs, but they were a little more extended than the other ones. And I haven't looked at this today, but I got a pretty good idea of what this is going to look like, the IWM. And yeah, just horrendous. That's actually going back and trying to take back, some lows way back over here in April and in May. So anyway, Jamie, I don't know what else to add to that. Red flags once again, distribution, seeing the volume on the downside. A lot of uncertainty out there in the macro climate. I think it's every reason for one to be cautious.
Yeah, absolutely, Andy. I mean, when I was in my chair this morning and, the open comes along and I take a peek at the compare accounts and I'm like, well, as always, these metrics that I'm seeing aren't really what I expected. Of course, thankfully, we don't have to base our success or failure, or hopefully not, on preconceived notions, because we all learned about those way back in the day, Andy, when myself and you and Steve all started trading. That's one of the most dangerous things you could ever come to a trading session with, is a preconceived notion. So thankfully, the higher part of my brain saw this data and was like, okay, well, not what I expected. Not even, if I was wrong a little bit, but I mean, I was like, okay, after the past couple of days we saw the bounce off the trend line, everybody's thinking, oh, it's summer. Not only is it summer, it's the latter part of summer. And, surely there's not going to be heavy selling if we do have a sell-off, because most everybody out there has heard at one point or another, yeah, it was a sell-off or it was a little melt up, but it was all on low volume. We still have to pay attention to this, and this. Well, not the case today, right? I mean, I'm sitting here looking at my index where I've got the SPY and the Qs and the diamonds. The SPY finished the day with 2.84 relative volume on that move down. Yes. We just saw the charts. I'm looking at the chart again, and wow, very unexpected. I was thinking earlier in the day, we're gonna go, and this is right when we were still wicking in that top part of the day bar, right? And I'm thinking to myself, okay, we've got these metrics, but I guess I'm getting a little ahead of myself, Andy. Probably.
Yeah, Jamie's going to show you some cool stuff. Yeah, as a matter of fact, if you want to take it and just go right in that, we'll obviously there's nothing to talk about Holly. He will show you the strategies. He'll show you that they're all long strategies. The market was not really conducive to long strategies setting up, and so thus Holly didn't have any setups and didn't fire off any alerts today.
Now, yes, sir. Now, can you see my screen, Andy?
I can see your screen.
Okay,
Thank you.
perfect. So everybody sees, hey, it's been a while since we've seen this shade of red. You know,
Hmm.
Usually when we have a little bit of red, it's kind of pink or white.
Hmm.
Boy, deep shades of crimson today.
Yeah.
And of course, we can see the relative volumes on all the major ETF indexes were well above normal. And this volume pretty much kept churning all day. So before we move on here, just want to make sure I can see all my panels here, make sure my questions panel is visible. Okay. All right, looks like we're all caught up. So, you know, continuing forward with what Andy was saying and, what happened today. Well, those of you who are regular might know the topic I'm going to touch on next, but we can't just jump right into the juicy stuff without acknowledging Holly, right? So,
Hmm.
shortest Holly recap all year. Hey, these trades made the cut, but guess what? They were so specific and all to the long side that Holly didn't see anything. And I
Hmm.
think the only other time that this has happened was on Brexit. And when things get that out of whack and there's no certainty, no statistical edge, well then doing nothing is the thing to do sometimes, which we have to remember. Canary, coal mine.
Hmm. Exactly.
Canary, coal mine. You know what? I don't even know what to compare it to today. I mean, here comes the guy with the canary. Everybody's about to start work. He puts the canary down. The canary immediately keels over.
Yeah.
Everybody, right?
Yeah.
No bounce, no play.
No.
And that's the way it was
Oh
today for
no.
sure.
Oh
So,
yeah.
of course, look, once you see this, but of course, what are you going to see first, right? Well, I can show you what I saw first because initially I was like, well, sure, Holly hasn't spat anything out in the first 20 minutes, but big deal, right? That happens a lot. Now, what I'm about to pull over here are my good old compare count windows. And of course, this is how the day finished, boys and girls. I mean, 84. These ran from the open until the close. I never stopped them. And look what we finished at. However, what do we look like in the first 20 minutes of the market today? All right, so once again, just kind of wanted to, let me do this, and then pull this back over. Okay, so here's my Twitter feed. Well, where did it go now? Okay, pardon. Okay, so these were the compare count readings, 20 minutes. Come on. All right. Okay. So 20 minutes into the open on the big caps above 4 billion market cap, above 5.4, we were already rocking 59% on the big boys and just a percent less on, sub 5.4 billion, but at least 4 billion. So for those of you who attend and have heard this before, you know that anything above 55, things are going to be heating up. All right, below 55, 54, 53, 52, 51, the closer to 50, the more cautious you need to be. But once you start pecking over 55, things get really interesting. When you get to 60 and above, which only happens, whether it's the upside or the downside, very infrequently on a month. So that's why I was like, are my compare count windows are they accurate today? All right, but sure enough, they were. So these readings were taken 20 minutes into the open. All right. So what do I see? I see, well, the footprints that the institutions are leaving in that first 20-minute period, kind of scary to the downside. Not that the downside is scary, but, it just raised my eyebrows because we haven't been seeing that in the first 20 minutes. And really the theory is there's a lot of business that gets done on the open, first 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes. A lot of that is institutional volume. They can't get it all done in that time period, but they do leave footprints, right? If we're tracking game in the forest, they're leaving footprints. If we know what to look for, and of course, those of you who have seen the survival shows, I mean, Lord knows I can't do it, but a guy that's tracking an animal out in the wild, to me and you, we don't see anything, but this guy sees a little broken twig where the thing brushed up against it, or he looks down, he sees not a footprint that just jumps out at him, but he knows what to look for. He's got a trained eye. He's been doing it for a while. He can track that animal. Well, this is the same thing here. So 20 minutes in, here's the spy, big blue arrow, 5, 10, 15, 20. All right. Now, for most people, they're like, well, here's the close, you know, a little pre, post market action, a little pre. It's nothing that big, right? Just a little gap, you know, no big deal. We're going up. But 20 minutes in, you get that information, you just wait for it to set up. Whether you played it here, whether you played it here, whether you played it here. I mean, hell, the SPY alone was a 3-point trade today from that point. So anywhere between here, 10 cents, 20 cents, or $3, that's a very nice spread, right? There's plenty of opportunity just in the SPY, and if you get proficient at gleaning this information, leading indicator, it can act as a leading indicator, and in the case of today, it sure did. And it's not just today, it's a lot of days, right? So once again, great set of windows. I'll make sure I drop this link into the chat area so that anybody that wants to start getting into the groove here, taking that pulse of the market in the first 20 minutes to kind of set your expectations. It's a very simple method, makes a lot of sense, and more importantly, it's been accurate, you know, for a good while now. Now, we haven't seen downside like this before, and really, I'm kind of, well, to say I'm pleased is a little bit of an understatement, but since we haven't seen this type of activity, to have these metrics given to me at that time period today, and then to see how everything unfolded, I got to be happy about that, you know, because the software is doing its job. Or my perception of what works and using the software to find that information for me is working. So yay, unexpected, but yay. Now, in addition to that, what do we have? We have Holly doing nothing. We have our compare count metrics pretty much to the crazy side after the first 20 minutes. And then we had not only a move down, but a big move down on big volume. Now, of course, we've been in an uptrend, right? So, you know, I think I saw a couple of things today on the long side early on that went, like, what was the one I was thinking about here? Well, let me go back to yield Twitter feed for just a second here. Or did I just close that? Yep, it looks like I closed it. Jobs, okay. One of the only things that caught my eye today right off the bat here was jobs, all right? This range break right here, of course, the turbo up family fed that to me. What do we have? We had a little bit of continuation, but then if you tried to hold, they'll take your gold, right? That, you know, these patterns were all over the place today. Oh, they're going up, and then they base out for a little while. So even if you did take a couple of longs and you know where to look from this guy, they didn't last very long. And then, of course, what we saw unfolding in the market, that's going to tell us, you know, there's just nothing. I'd rather not do anything than keep trying to catch knives today, right, on the long side. Now, having said that, was there anything good on the short side? And we're so conditioned and used to seeing these upside patterns that maybe you just didn't know where to look, because if you didn't look fast enough today, it was gone. You know, you'd pull up a stock. If I just pull up a random stock like Adobe that was coming through my downside, this was a lot of the action today. You know, oh, new low, new low, new low. I mean, you know, hey, catch that knife, catch that knife, catch that knife before too long. You know, you've been all cut up, right? We don't want to play that game. We want to wait for nice setups. The nice setups are going to be the exact same setups that we have on the long side, but we just invert them. And what I noticed today, and Andy, let me just check the time here and make sure you got.
You're okay.
Yeah, we're way good. All right, so some of you may be familiar with this top list, pack leaders, right? And this is really where the position and lifetime range is starting to show some cool stuff, because on the pack leaders, it's above, outside at all-time highs for the lifetime position and lifetime range 100. And of course, I've done this from time to time and never really seen a whole lot, but boy, what a difference a day makes. Now, what I've done here is I've removed the big requirement for market cap, because I just don't really care at this point. I just want to see some things on the screen that might be good shorting opportunities. So in this case, what Well, we can't use position and lifetime range of 100%. And in the past, when I'd put this on 0, which means show me stocks where the price is below the low of this range or at the low, lifetime that is, you just wouldn't get much, even if you thinned out the filter set. So 5-day average, 300,000. Now we're getting quite a few things showing up, and some of these you probably won't want to trade because they're a little thin, right? But rather than paint ourselves into a corner, when we look at things like rig, right? Well, just the opposite of what we're used to seeing with these stocks in blue sky territory. Don't know what you call this, reds. Well, if heaven is the upstairs, what's the downstairs? Name it whatever you want, right? But once again, when the market presents itself like this, and we did have pretty good people, or I can't say people, windows. I always want to call Holly a person because, well, we call her Holly all the time. But Holly was silent, sitting on her hands. We got the compare counts telling us big, big, big institutional selling on the open. Not too long after that, we have a downward trend beginning. So will they all line up like that in the future? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe we just have one or two and we get moderate down moves. But fear not. If number one, shorting is not a crime, right? And it's just the exact opposite of going long. We just sell it, hope it goes down, we buy it cheaper, right? But we still want to try to pick the path of least resistance. Once again, those of you who are familiar know that I like the simple breakouts and breakdown patterns, right? So it's the same game. So rig's doing its thing, pops its low, it's doing it on volume, we get some downturn. We look over here, well, where might it catch its breath? Where's that level of support that it might go down to? Well, in this case, we can't really see anything.
There's not one.
What we call entering into the abyss, where it stops, nobody knows, right? So, as the market either bounces, continues, whatever, I think it is that time. We've all been knowing for a very long time that we might, even if we don't go into a bear market, so to speak, that things might be getting a little volatile coming into the fall, and we have to be prepared. So now's a good time to start, dusting off the short tickers and looking and becoming familiar with the patterns and whatnot, because lots of stuff coming through this guy today. And of course, not all of these guys were, into the abyss, but man, some of these guys had some really nice down moves today. And some of them will be approaching very interesting levels pretty soon. And once again, we can watch for these, that's a little too much energy expenditure getting down to that level. But, I was talking to Andy about some of these banks earlier. Citigroup has set up really nice the past 2 days for a short, just playing simple range breakdowns. Yesterday we had this one. Today we had very similar action in Citigroup here, right? Nice liquid stock, had some nice volume in it. And these patterns right here, they've been, showing up to the upside like clockwork. But when things get different, these guys are going to be showing up every day too. And they're going to be out there, and we already know how to find them, right? Hell, some days might be both. It might be up for the first half, down for the second, or vice versa. If that volatility increases, maybe we'll get the double dip a little bit. But in the meantime, still lots of pretty good chart patterns out there, even though, what do we even call this? Broken teeth, Andy? Of course, we're in the slop over here, so it's going to get interesting. Anything to add to what I'm already talking about, Andy?
No. Well, I'd like to be. I'm curious because I noticed that CIT was nowhere near the 52-week low. So what alert are you getting that off of, or did you get that?
Well, this one's just been coming across.
Oh, you're downward. Okay,
turbo
right.
breaks down,
There you go.
And of course, we're going to be bound by the
Sure.
by the range here as to how much room we might have. But I was just pointing out on the intraday, those are some really nice setups that continued, and of course, we'd have to go back and look. Okay, where were we in today's candle when that transpired? And compared to what the rest of the market was doing, just magically the bottom of this candle. We're butting up against this little family over here. So hey, tomorrow we get more downside momentum. You see Citigroup setting up. Maybe we venture on down to the bottom here. Who knows?
Mhm.
And of course, hey, Citigroup might be done. Who knows? I'm just pointing out the fact that these intraday patterns, they're going to start showing up. There's going to be some juice in them. Obviously, the ones where we're way below, like for example, this little guy right here, CTL. Okay, he's one of the ones at lifetime lows, right? There's going to be more and more of these guys show up, because how many of them are hovering right about here right now that we're not even aware of? A couple more days of downside action, this thing's going to light up, and then we can start filtering a little bit harder to clean it up, right? But just the fact that there's this many showing up at all-time lows, lifetime lows, is things are heating up. Go back to the volcano example. Volcano's not erupting, but it's sure smoldering. You get the steam coming out of the top, magma chambers are active, they're bubbling, and it's only a matter of time.
Sure, exactly. Good stuff, Jamie. Yeah, that's just showing you examples of how to find opportunity in a down market. There is ways to find opportunity to the short side as well as the long, and he just kind of showed you there. And I'm also going to show you another one that a way to do it and how to be patient.
Yes, indeed. So is it time to pass the baton back to you?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. I think I'm ready. Let's see.
I know I can do it. Just give me a sec. There we go.
If not, I can grab it.
You are good, sir.
All righty. All right. Can you see me? Hello?
You are visible, sir.
Okay. All righty. All righty. Thanks. Well, what I wanted to show you real quick is a guy, sent me an email, and he was kind of hoping I could help get him started on an alert and what he was looking for. And sometimes it's quite complicated, but he wanted, you can read there on the right, is there a way to scan for this? He's looking for stocks up on the day, new highs first hour, next hour test today's low. I don't think he was talking about testing today's low, because low is way down here. I think what he wanted to do to see, this is a 5-minute chart, so basically establishing a low, a range low, and then bouncing back up, and then coming back and testing that low, and then pushing higher from that. Then that's very hard to do. I mean, there's too many if, whens, buts for any algorithm to break that down, because you're looking for a push higher, pull back, establishing a low, then going back to high. It's too many ifs, ands, whens, and all that. So, but there's so many easy workarounds with our software where you can actually find patterns like this. I mean, you're going to find a few other ones too, and this is why I always say, if you picture a chart in your head and then you start looking through our filters, you can build these things. So I basically took this today, and what I did is I wanted to build an alert. So we're just going to go straight into the configuration here. So one of the things he said, he wants it pushing higher off of that low. Okay, so I'm telling myself the first thing I want to see, I can't see a new high because obviously it's too late then, but I have to see it moving off that kind of intraday range low. So the way I did that, I said, well, I'm going to use a 15-minute high. That tells me it's at least hitting a 15-minute high. So let's go to the configuration here. Now, some of this is optimized. It wasn't my own thinking. I optimized it. But so I got a 15-minute high for the alert. Okay, the window-specific filters. This is what I have. Change from the close. I'm looking for stocks that are up 1% because he's looking a push at the open to highs. Okay, so if I use a change from the close, 1%, if it didn't gap up, I got a stock that at least pushed higher and is going to be pulling back when I show you the filter I'm using to show a pullback. The price, that was just me optimizing it between $20 and $70. Position in the 60-minute range. So I'm just asking myself, okay, from what he showed me, okay, that was a 5-minute chart. As long as this thing is close to its the 60-minute low, once again, remember all ranges have a 0 being the low end of the range and 100% being the high. So I know if I put a max down here at 35% and a minimum at 5%, remember I cannot put this too low because it has to be hitting a 15-minute high. I would have conflicting alerts and filters, okay? So I had to kind of expand it out a little bit. It cannot be at the very bottom of that range. So I made it kind of relaxed and put it at 35%. So at least I know it's at the lower 35% of its 16-minute range, but it cannot be at the low of that range, of course, because how would it be hitting a 15-minute high? Okay, so once again, just kind of going over stuff in my head. Time of day. I don't want this pulling up candles from the prior day, so I do not even want this to alert me. This is how you stop alerts from alerting you. If you do not want them to alert you, you can use our filter called time of day. So I know this is 30 minutes after the open. I will not get any alerts, and I also know the last 30 minutes by putting this at the max. I will not. There's 390 minutes in the trading day, so I will not get an alert after that. All right. So relative volume 1.5. I'm looking stuff that maybe, you know, that is running up, pulling back, having good relative volume on the day. Change in 20 days. This is just me optimizing. I don't want to find things that are in a death spiral, you know. So I just optimize it, and this ended up being a very good filter to optimize. And then I just have a 10-day average volume of 300,000. All right, nothing else. Did add my columns, you know, named it, and so that is what we have. Now let's take a look at what we got. Now today, I think I'm gonna have to go back to yesterday because today was just an awful day, but we can see if we had anything coming in here. So these are the only alerts that came through here today. And let's see if we have any. I'd be real surprised if we have any very good ones that really worked in a tape like we had today. Okay, that one, you can see the setup there, ran up, pulled back, lower end of its 60-minute range, and then here was your alert on a 15-minute high. Did not work very well. Okay, you know, a lot of your alerts that you build are at the mercy of the market. Okay, this is probably going to be one of them. Okay, this is a VIX. VIX worked. So you got the setup there in this VXC. It looks like it's some sort of iPath futures VIX. Obviously, the VIX was very, very strong today, so that would have worked. You can filter out ETFs if you like. I did not do that, but that's something that you could do because I would like to actually see ETFs coming through here. ANDX, that one went off, didn't work. And what I'm going to do is we're going to go to yesterday because today was a very terrible tape. Let's see if we had anything coming through here yesterday, and we do have a few. And we'll start with Ross Stores. Now we're going back to yesterday. So a minute, you got to look here. So there you go. You had a move higher in the first 15 minutes, pull back, and then at 9:05, this trigger goes off because you hit a 15-minute high, and some nice upward, you know, momentum after that. See if Target worked here. Target, beautiful. Gapped up. Yeah, this is yesterday. So it did gap up yesterday, pulled back, and then you established that 60-minute range, and then you had your alert right here where it hit a 15-minute high. Nice alpha after that. So it's just a way, guys. It's similar to the 25% pullback from highs. That one really didn't work. You do have to manage these trades when you get into it, and, you know, pay attention to the daily, what you have here. That one really didn't work. That one didn't work. That one worked pretty good. You had to push higher in the early going, pulled back, ranged, kind of popped above it, and then you had some nice movement after that. So what I wanted to show you guys, it's not so much to show you an incredible alert, although you're going to find some really good ones in here, just like our quarterback on that Holly uses, where stocks run up and then they kind of range. They get in that little 60 low into that 60-minute range, and then you have a little trigger, and then, you know, you can definitely find some opportunity in here. That one's pretty much, it's getting toward the lower end. I could probably need some more filters in this one. That one kind of worked right there. Gap up, pulled back. There's your high, taking it out, had a little move higher. So anyway, I'm not going to sit here and go through all of these. I think you're going to find a lot, in this market that worked and a lot that didn't. But I did want to show you. There was one in here that I really wanted to imprint on, and it's a PGR. Let me go back to today. Maybe it didn't work today. Just bear with me. No, I'm gonna have to go back to his email because I found one almost identical to the pattern he showed me in the email. Even though it pulled back and it went up, and the second time around when it tested that low, that's when I got the trigger. So on a retest of that 60-minute range low, I got the trigger. And I'm sorry guys, I can't remember which one it was. I don't want to go through all these, so you're just gonna have to trust me. Let's see, FAF. I thought it was at PGR. Oh well, but anyway, I will share with you this with you guys. It will work really in a bull market when you get some tape. The tape has been kind of ugly lately, and I think you're going to find even if you want to make some volume tweaks to this, looking for more volume, that you're going to find these kind of setups when they are pulling back. When you have a bullish tape, now I'm going to show you this flipped here in a minute because we're in a bearish tape, and I'm going to show you how well they work today, doing just the opposite filters. And I'll show you that in a minute, but first I want to preface it by talking about shorting. And you regulars in here will know I go to this extreme volume high-low pro quite a bit when I'm talking about how you can be patient in the first 30 minutes of the day and really catch some good longs that still have a lot of meat left on the bone. How you can wait till the first, just hold on. So let me go back and do a history for today on this one and pull it up, because what I want to show you is it doesn't necessarily work for the shorts. And there's a reason for that. Shorting is a different animal. Like you can let a stock, rip up the first 30 minutes of the day. And I've shown this over and over in these webinars, how you can be patient. And after 30 minutes, buy that stock and there's just tons of alpha still left in it. It's tougher to do. It's hard to chase shorts. And the reason you do is you heard, stocks take the, the stairs up and the elevator down. Well, there's a lot of truth to that. And when you see that, you're going to see what I'm talking about. So let's go to 9 o'clock, just like I do when I show you the stocks on a bullish tape, and ones that are showing really strength. Excuse me, let me get some water here. That are showing you strength and how you can grab them and still run. But let's take a look at some of these. Let's take a look at LB. Okay, that one, pretty much, close to the bottom where that thing went off, when it finally alerted to you. Let's take a look at Intap when it first at 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock, there you go. Just ugly move down. You can see here on the daily how fast it moved to the downside, and then once the alert gets up, you get a snapback pop. You're going to see this a lot. JD. That one actually probably worked pretty good because it did go much lower, after the alert went off. But I think what you're going to find, I already looked at Intap, didn't I? Yeah. JD, BSI. And the reason behind this, guys, is, and you're gonna see this a lot, and that's why I never, when I short, I'm never chasing the momentum, downward, because what happens is when you get stocks that sell off really hard, they usually, like I said, they take the elevator down in the first 30 minutes, and what you have a lot of time is a snapback, and the reason the snapbacks could be, very harsh is because not only do you have shorts rushing to cover their short, but the majority of the traders out there are long-minded. About 85% of them, they want to go long. That's all they want to do. So not only do you have shorts that are going to to cover their shorts really quickly, but you also have new longs that are trying to rush in and catch a bottom. So that's one reason they say bear markets, can obliterate both bulls and bears, because bulls obviously are wrong and bears cannot take they they say some of your best bull runs are in bear markets, and there's a lot of truth to that. Trust me, I've traded, 3 bear markets, and some of your best up moves are in bear markets, and that's the theory behind it. So not only do you have shorts rushing to cover, you have new long interest coming in. So that's why when it comes to shorting, it's a different animal, and you need to learn to use um, more of what Jamie was showing you, where let a stock come down, settle down, start trading sideways, and then look for that range break. But you don't want to get in the habit of chasing shorts, because it can really hurt you. And I'm going to show you another method here. And what I did today is I was thinking about how can I show you how to be patient and wait for the shorts to come to you. And I said, well, great. I was building this at the time because I was thinking about the content for the day. And I said, great, I'm going to try flipping this and seeing what happens if I flip this, where you're looking for stocks that are down 1%. Okay, they're at the high end of their 60-minute range, and they just hit a 15-minute low. And I think if you learn, guys, to be patient when it comes to shorting, you're going to find the setups are much more favorable. You kind of know your risk reward going out. Because trust me, if you start chasing stuff down and it's going to pop back real quick on you, and you're going to be deer in the headlights. You're not going to know what to do because you really don't have a game plan because you're chasing. So sit back and let the stocks come to you. And this is just one example. I could show you other flipped ones, like the Trend Change Pro is a good one. Those setups can come to you. But let's real quickly look at this. Once again, the configuration is going to be just the opposite of what I showed you, because all I did was flip this. So I have a new low, a 15-minute low, but I have the change from the close has to be down at least 1%. I do have a max in here. I don't want to chase things down. It's just the opposite of what the filters I put on the long side. I did spread the price out of this. This other one was from 20 to 70. This is from $5 to 70, only because I think there's a lot of opportunity when it comes to shorting lower price stocks between $5 and $10 or even $20. So I did bring the price down to $5. The position in 60-minute range, guys, remember, it's just the opposite. Remember how the other one had 35 over here and 5 on the min? Well, now you got a position in 60-minute range of the minimum of 65%. So it's moving higher in the 60-minute time frame, but the max cannot be above 95%. Time of day is the same, relative volume is the same. Change in 20 days is just the opposite. So let's take a look and see what came through today, guys, and see if we had some opportunity set up for us on this bearish tape. Okay, pretty selective. I mean, you had a lot of nasty action in the day today, but nothing really, it was so bad that it was probably hard to get these 60-minute bounces into the low, upper end of that 60-minute range. But let's just take a look at starting from the bottom here at 909 and see what we're looking here. And there you go. You have a stock that gapped down, okay? It gapped down, okay? Immediately popped back up from the open, went sideways for a little bit in that 60-minute range. The trigger went off right there on the 15-minute low, and then look at that nice no pain profit you had all the way down today. Okay, you're not chasing the open and sitting through all this pain up. You're being patient and waiting for your setup. NVO, kind of the same thing. It did go off right here, 63. You had to sit in a little more pain. Looks like maybe 20 or 18 or 19 cents, but then it kind of bled off the rest of the day. BIDA, I'm not so sure. I'm going to predict. I haven't looked at this. I'm going to predict this. It didn't work just because, yeah, the China internet's just been so strong. They've been being bid so hard today that one I would have left that alone. ALSN, this one that happened later in the day, and there you go, kind of popped up a little bit, bled down. You take your entry after that pop up and then break through this high, went off at 34.94, had another 35 cents upside there or downside. BRX, yeah, once again, you're kind of getting late in the day, and you can loosen up these filters. I just flipped this today. It still would have worked because there was your move down, but it's getting late in the day. I'm not sure a lot of these probably worked. There's one that probably worked a little bit. I think you're going to find that most of these, there's a beautiful one there. But there you go. You had a stock bleeding down all day long. You were patient. You don't have to do anything. You're waiting for this chart to show it to you. All of a sudden you have what about 5 bars moving higher, and then you had a bar reversal. Boom. Now that was nice. And then all the way to the close, no pain. SNR, another one there. There you have it. You had your pop up. You were being patient. You're not chasing it down here. You get triggered right here, and not a whole lot of juice. That's a lower price stock, so you only had about 15 cents there. But nonetheless, I kind of wanted to show you ways, and honestly, I'll probably take this and play around with it more and tweak it. I just kind of flipped this at the last minute to kind of show you how to look for stocks when you're shorting, but let them come to you. Don't be aggressive and try to chase after them. There's ways to do it by using our software. It's incredible for looking for your setups. You can do this, with a lot of your bullish pullback ones. Just flip them and look for those, bounces up to take advantage of the shorting. And actually, this one probably would have worked better if I were using a 30-minute range versus a 60-minute range today, because you just didn't have a whole lot of up move today to get those stocks to come up to that level. So I bet you anything, if I switched this to the high end of a 30-minute range, probably would have got a lot more and a better alerts. But I just wanted to put something together to show you guys how to be patient and don't chase after the shorts. Okay, you will get your bounce, trust me, because there's too many guys out there chasing stuff, that they think's going to bounce, and you just wait for them to stall out in that bar reversal, and you're on top of it.
Good stuff, Andy.
Yeah, but Jamie, anything, and what you showed as well too. I mean, that's not a chase. What Jamie was showing you, that's looking for. That's just beautiful setups, just like for the long side, where you just wait for those things to trend and move sideways for a while, and then break out of those ranges. That's another way that you're not. I'd want to keep you from chasing the momentum to the downside, because I know how vicious it can be back to the upside.
Yes, indeed. We do not want to chase. We don't want to chase, and that makes a huge difference in performance over the long term. It's one of those other little demons that sits on the shoulder, like Steve likes to talk about, the fear and the greed. We're afraid we're going to miss out on something. Well, missed money is always much better than lost money. And then over time, you'll get rid of that little guy going, oh yeah, go ahead. It hasn't moved too far. When in reality, it's a very precision-oriented type of thing. Being technical with charts and only taking the good entries and not chasing. It's just another discipline of trading. Exactly.
All right, guys. I am going to drop both of these into the. Let me put this one back on real time. So I'm going to drop both of these into the chat, and you guys know how to pull them up. Save and share. Let me grab this one. Okay, so they both are in there now, and take those and play around with them. I mean, it's amazing. I will. That's what I always do after. I built these today, so I will take these and fine tune them. Go in there, change some configurations. Maybe change the short one to a 60-minute range, and this, But I think you'll find that this up one was actually optimized, and it back tested pretty well. So if we do continue in a bull market like we have been, I think we all kind of have our doubts, but this market continues to frustrate the short. So it wouldn't surprise me a bit if everything calms down overnight and we don't get a gap up. That's just the way the market is these days. But all right, guys. Well, I'm going to try to walk you out of here. This is normally Scott's job, but I'll see how I can walk you out. And for those of you guys coming in here and kicking the tires, hold on, because I do have a discount for you. So let me present here. And I want to remind everybody about our podcast. Jamie and Dan pretty much do this every week. Occasionally we do have a guest appearance. I'm not sure if we have one tomorrow, Jamie, but You will be able to find this on your favorite app. All right, and just subscribe. We have some great hosts that come in there, and this is um, a weekly event. All right, guys. So find it on your favorite podcast app and download it. And I think you can find some real interesting stuff in there. Jamie, do you have anything to add? Any special guests we have this week?
Well, Dan just took off to Lake Tahoe
Oh yeah.
for a few days or weeks or whatever. So assuming that I can nail him down, I think we're going to have a podcast tomorrow. He'll just be
Okay.
doing it from Lake Tahoe. So stay tuned.
All right. All right. And once again, guys, we have a promo code for today, and the promo code is Sunrise. Okay, this code will get you 15% off your first month of trade ideas. That's either with the standard or the premium. It doesn't matter. You will get that 15% discount by using the promo code Sunrise. And you can just go to trade-ideas.com/price, and you will find the price list and a place to enter that code and get your 15% discount. All right, if you have any questions, guys, please send it to info@trade-ideas.com. We do have a phone number down there, but we reserve that mostly for our accounting questions and things like that. Anything relating to the software, technical questions, please send it to info@trade-ideas.com. Jamie, if you want to find him on Twitter, he is at Quantbot. Steve Gomez is at Today Trader. And also join our facebook.com Trade Ideas Pro page. We do post a lot of stuff on there, so be sure to join that as well. But thank everybody. Thank you, Steve, for helping out today and filling in for getting us started today for Scott. Jamie, thank you, and thanks everybody for coming out and watching this. And please don't forget about the support webinar tomorrow. Please come in that and join us. We talk some good stuff in there. Jamie?
Sounds good, Andy. Hey, thanks everybody for popping in. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Andy. We'll see what kind of fireworks happen in the market tomorrow, and everybody have a great weekend.
All right, Steve, we'll close this out. Thanks, everybody.